When you want to factor something like this where the last number is negative, that means that when we find our two numbers that multiply, because the last number is negative, that means that one number is going to have to be positive and one of them is going to have to be negative. So for instance, we have the last number is negative 42. So I want to find two numbers that multiply to make that. Now I'm just going to go ahead and write the positive factors first. Then once we find the pair that we need, then we'll just apply the negative on there. So that way we know it'll multiply to make negative 42. So I have 1 and 42. I have 2 and 21. I have 3 and 14. And of course, I can keep going. I have 6 and 7 as well. I want to find the pair to where if I subtract them, I want to get the negative 11. Now, the reason why I say subtract is because remember, one of these numbers is going to have to be negative. So in a way, we're really adding the opposite or subtracting, we can say there. Now, of all these, the only one that allow us to get a negative 11 is this pair, the 3 and the 14. But 3 times 14 is positive 42, so that's why one of these needs to be a negative. Now, you look at what we want these to add up to. We want these to multiply to make negative 42, but they have to be, when we add them together, which again, adding is the same thing as really adding the opposite or subtraction. We want that to get a result of negative 11. So I'm going to put a negative next to the larger number, because then if I do 3 plus negative 14, that adds up to negative 11 here. Okay, so 3 minus 14 is negative 11. That's the pair I want to use. So it's going to be x plus 3, x minus 14, and that is going to be the combination that you need right there. Let's multiply to make sure we get the same thing. We get x squared. We have minus 14 plus 3. So minus 14 plus the 3 will give you the negative 11x there. And then you have 3 and negative 14 gives you negative 42. So if you were to multiply all this out by FOIL, you get the same thing you started with. That's how you know did it correct. Okay, let's do on the next problems. We have negative 24. Okay, so negative 24 here. Write out all the factors of that. We have 1 and 24. We have 2 and 12. We have 3 and 8. We have 4 and 6. Okay, I want to look for the ones that give me a combination to add up to a 10. Now, if you take a look at this, you will see two types of numbers that could allow us to get a 10. These two numbers, if I subtract these numbers, 2 minus 12 will give us negative 10. But then I also have a 4 and a 6. If both of them are negative, then that would give me negative 10 as well. So the question is, well, which one is going to be correct? Well, I can't have both of the numbers be negative, because negative 4 times negative 6 would be negative 24. Okay, so I have to find only one of them has to be negative, because a positive times a negative is a negative, and then that has to add up to negative 10. So I'm actually going to use this right here, and I'm going to put the negative next to the 12. So 2 minus 12, or 2 plus a negative 12 in that case, is going to be negative 10. That's the only combination that works. Again, I can't use 4 and 6 because I would have to put a negative next to both of those for that to add up to negative 10. And negative 4 and negative 6 is positive 24, not negative 24. So that's something to keep in mind, careful about. So I'm going to do x plus 2, x minus 12. That would be the combination that works. All right, next I have 72. So I have negative 72 here. All right, so negative 72, I'm going to write down all the different factors of that. So I have 1 and 72. I have 2 and 36. I have 3 and 24. 4 and 18. 5 doesn't divide into it. 6 does, 6 and 12. And then we have also 8 and 9. Now, out of all these, the one I want to look at is the one that if I subtract the numbers, I need to get a negative 1, because that's that's really the coefficient of this x here. It would be negative 1. So two numbers that multiply to make negative 72, but add to be negative 1. The only combination that's going to allow me to have something that combines to be a -1 is going to be this pair, the 8 and the 9. Because I want that number to be negative, I will put the negative next to the larger number like that. So I would have a +8 and then a -9. That would add up to the negative x there. So I would have x plus 8, x minus 9. X squared minus 9x plus 8x is negative x. And then 8 times -9 is -72. Now let's do this last one. I have -27. So -27, I have 1 and 27. I have 2 doesn't work. I have 3 and 9. And then that's really going to be the only ones that I have now. I need to have this add up to a -7. But these are all the factors I have. I only have 1 and 27, and I have 3 and 9. There's no more factors. 4 doesn't divide, 5, 6, 7. 7 doesn't work either. So these are my only factors. So we have a situation here where there's no combination where I can multiply to make -27, but have it add to be -7. Now, when that happens, we actually have a situation where the polynomial cannot be factored. So in the instructions here, it says that the polynomial cannot be factored, say it's prime. This is actually going to be the answer. I want to put prime on here, can't be factored, because again, I can't find two numbers that multiply to make -27 and add to be -7. So when that occurs, if you can't find a combination that works, then you're going to say prime. It cannot be factored.